Okay, so this tutorial is going to show you how to use the pen tool. And you can use the pen tool to make selections and cut out objects and move them around. So if we start over here by selecting the pen tool, make sure you selected pen tool. There's a few other options here, but we want to use the pen tool. The other thing to look for is that it's set to path, and basically the way the pen tool works is you click on the image and it drops these little anchor points, and between each of these anchor points it creates a little line, and you basically just follow the whole all the way along the image, and when you get round to the end you can make a selection out of it. It creates a whole path. Now in order to do a curved line like here, what you need to do is you press and hold the left mouse button down, and you just stretch out the line, and you let go. Now these are still movable. What you can do is just press the control button, and you can see the cursor change, and you can grab that point and you can move it around. You can also move this one around here by pressing the control or holding the control button. Now this arm here then actually, I'll show you what it does. It actually influences this next line. Now we don't really need that arm there, so if we go back, we actually don't need this arm, generally speaking. So what you want to do is just delete it, and you do that by holding the Alt button down and clicking on this center one. You can see the little V come up underneath there. That's when you're on that button. And that just deletes it. So you hold the Alt button down and click on that center anchor point. And do the next one. Click and hold. And it takes a little bit of getting used to work out how to actually create the right arc that you're looking to do. But as I said, it just takes practice. So holding the Alt button, we delete that arm there. Then we come down to the bottom. And then to complete the circle, you'll see when you hover over that last anchor point, a little circle comes up, and that's how you know you've completed the arc. Now if you wanted to move any of these points, you still can. So you can hold down the control button and you just pick it up and you can move it around. Now what you can do, once you've got completed the path, you come over here to your layers panel and you select paths, and it's always a good idea to save the path, so double click on it. You can give it a name if you want, and then to turn it into a selection, there's a button down here. If I just hover over it, you'll see there it comes up there, load path as selection. That's the one that you want. Click on that and you can see it's now a selection. Now if I come over to layers, just duplicate that layer, so now I've got one to work with. Now there's a couple of things that you can do. You can, if you wanted to erase all the background around it and you just wanted to have the door, you can do that simply by going to select and inverse your selection. So now everything but the door is selected, and then you can just choose an eraser, and just to show you what it's doing here, as I erase everything around the door. So I can do it that way, or what I can do instead is if I just click on a layer mask here, that's what I'm looking for, add a layer mask, then you can see that it's effectively done the same thing, and the only difference being is that all this image here is still there, and so I can still make adjustments to the edge. So for example, I can go into refine mask, and I've got a couple of different ways that you can look at it. You can look at it on white, on black, reveal the layer. So just depending on what what works best for the image that you're working with. I'm going to look at it on black, and you can make various adjustments here. You can actually adjust the edge on it. You can adjust it right out, and just give it a second. It's thinking. You can see how it's shifted all that edge around, so now it's looking even further out. It's probably a bit much, don't need that much. What I might like is maybe a bit of feathering. That helps just to blend with the image behind it. Maybe even just shift that edge out a little bit. I can add an extra 10 or 15% to the edge. And you can also use this one here, decontaminate the colours. So if there's on the edges there was probably a bit of extra colour, well, I can't really see any here, but that's something else you can use there if there's a bit of colour coming in off the edges. You can smooth it out a little, perhaps feather it a little bit more, I think. Okay, so there are a couple of options here how I can output it. You can either just output to a new layer, or a new layer with layer mask, or a new document. This one here is probably the best one to do, just do a new layer with a new layer mask. Okay, so because then you can make additional adjustments to it. And what we want to do now is we'll just transfer this door over to our other image. Where is it? Here it is. Drop it in here, and there's our door. And that's basically how the pen tool works. Quite effective for these types of shapes, I think, if you're trying to do sort of straight lines and regular curves. The pen tool is pretty good. You might try other methods for cutting out objects when you've got more irregular shapes and so on, but we can show you how to do that later.